Well, this is the Pratt House, Council on Foreign Relations, where you have people from Zbigniew Brzezinski, David Rockefeller, basically setting American foreign policy, and this is where they institute the New World Order through American policy. Yo, guys, you can't block pedestrian traffic. Move that over there. Sorry about that, but this is the criminal elite courthouse where they justify open borders, a one world order, one currency, and they write open policy papers about a North American Union. They were the key founding members of the EU, and they're big criminal elites that want a one world government, and that's why we're out here.
I was actually going to start going to the army when my cousin introduced me to Loose Change. Oh, wow. And then I was actually sick at that time too, so I was in my bed watching Loose Change, and I had pretty much nothing else to do except for accept the truth that there were a lot of situations, a lot of things, a lot of events that were happening where I couldn't justify that it happened through natural effects. That there had to be an inside job. There had to be some kind of different answer that wasn't provided by the regular media.
The laws of physics stood down on September 11th, according to their story. You know, Osama bin Laden, yes, he may have some really intense contacts around the world and some powerful laptops, but he can't stand down the laws of physics. That's just basic. So yeah, I mean, ever since the day of, they pumped out the official narrative. And we shouldn't even call it the official narrative. We should just call it the government's whack conspiracy garbage. And that's what it was. Listen to your president, right? What did he say? He's like, well, we shall never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories about the attacks of September 11th, right? Sure, yeah. Listen to your president. He's not my president, but, you know, listen to him.
Bilderberg scum lives here. This is the belly of the beast. This is the headquarters. This is hell.
What is the
this
address?
Is Satan right here.
Look, what is the address?
What is the address? 146. It's 65th. And then 10 and legs. This is the devil's house.
The Rockefeller family basically runs the corporations in this country. They are the Western Hemisphere part of the New World Order.
He's a traitor.
Okay?
Skull and Bones traitor.
And nothing gets done without their permission, without their approval. If all you do is impeach Bush and Cheney, you solve nothing. Not that it's a bad idea.
It's this criminal, not a dumb idiot like Bush who chokes on a pretzel. It's people like this who are ruling in secrecy. Their secrecy is no longer here because we are here. And we know 9/11 was a David Rockefeller job, and we will stand up for national sovereignty here and for freedom here.
9/11 was a Rockefeller job.
9/11 was a Rockefeller job. 9/11 was a Rockefeller job.
I've been in this since 2001. I used to be Alex Jones's radio producer. My name's Kevin Smith. So once you get a certain way into this, you can't back off. They don't have to hear me say it or Luke say it. Everybody knows something's wrong. Everybody can sense something's wrong. So, and the more we do this, the more acceptable it is for other people to think I can get involved and not have to be in fear.
It was not an inside job. How would it be an inside job? Who would obviously kill 3,000, indiscriminately American people? Who would do that? What would they gain by, even if they want to start a war? Which they did, by the way.
My Uncle Thomas Joseph Scroy died 6 years ago, and there is no justice for my family or the other 3,000 families that lost loved ones on 9/11. All evidence does not point to 19 hijackers who couldn't even fly Cessnas and a man in a cage.
Those guys are saying that you should investigate 9/11 and you should just do your own research on 9/11. All they're asking for is for a new investigation.
So you agree with those guys, yeah?
I definitely do. I've been studying it for 2 years, and all the evidence show that there was definitely a lot that we weren't told about September 11th.
Turn your TV set off. CNN has nothing but lies for you.
You refuse to cover the Bin Laden CIA connections. You refuse to cover the head of Pakistani intelligence, the man who wired $100,000 to Mohammed Atta. The fact that he was in Washington, D.C., on the morning of September 11th. I never heard about that in the news.
They're the only people telling the truth. I saw 9/11 happen. Those were fighter planes made to look like commercial jets. There were no people inside those planes that hit the towers. There weren't any. Those were fighter planes. I saw it happen. George Bush is a thief and a liar, and Dick Cheney is a murdering Nazi bastard, and they both need to be thrown in jail or banished to Marlon Brando Island, where they have to sit and stare at one another for all eternity as their punishment. I hate those lying pigs. And this whole shit with Osama bin Laden, every time we get ready to impeach them, they pull out the booger man. Look, booger man's gonna get you. Look, booger man gonna get you. If you talk this kind of thing in like Mexico or in Central America or South America or anywhere else in the world, and you say, listen, the government did this, they'll say, oh, totally. But people in America, they can't believe that their own government will conspire against them.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're like little kids. You can trick them with smoke and mirrors and candy, and TV is God here in America. And they don't listen to anything. They just, whatever TV says, that's the truth.
For all of our future, all of our sake, we must unite and understand who is guilty for bombing us on 9/11 so she can have a future and so all of us can unite in harmony and live free.
We'll just go over there.
No, that's the wrong answer. You got to figure out who the them is. The them is a well-crafted enemy working probably for the CIA. It is time we educate ourselves. All of the info's out there. The internet is big. 9/11, yes, I was there that morning. And many days after, excuse me, pal. I'm from New York. My story is, I'm a young American man, grew up in a generation who really fucking was looking for something to do, and got told a bunch of lies like everybody else through our socialized education system. And just, blindly believed it like almost everybody else just does as they go along through life. And then on September 18th of last year at 2:38 in the morning, I remember because it changed my life. I watched Building 7 come down at free fall speed, and it just blew my mind. Bottom line is human beings are incredibly magical. And we, through organized religion, organized school, and through just crap, and our media, the fourth branch of government, we have never been told the truth. We have never been told what it is that we should be fighting for. They don't teach about civil liberties in school. They don't do it. Everything now is globalization, and globalization is helping who? Who's it helping? Who is it helping? It doesn't help the guy driving this bus, the guy on the corner, the America. It helps the people who trade and deal fiat money all day long, and the people who dictate what that price, that dollar is going to be. Oh, you have us in trouble? We'll just dump more money and devalue as we sit. It gets lighter and lighter, and we didn't do anything. And it's just the money in your pocket's going less and less. I mean, that's a lot to absorb in a quick minute, but you caught me ready to chat.
They were testing anti-hijack systems, right, that can remotely fly the plane. In 2006, they came out, Boeing announced the new anti-hijack system that allows for complete control over the cockpit so they can safely land the plane, right? But check this out. They put in the press release that CIA would control this new system, right? Now, Bush, several days after the event, went on a press conference here in New York, and he actually started talking about the anti-hijack system when a gentleman behind him grabbed his arm and shook it and said, don't talk about that.
Well, look, most of the people who know 9/11 is an inside job, and this is not a dig on them, this is just a statement of fact, they spend most of their time sitting down on a computer, okay? If every single person that knew 9/11 was an inside job was out on the street, this whole thing would be over in a week, So what we do is we get out on our feet and, take to the streets and hand stuff out, whether it's flyers, whether it's DVDs, and we get our cameras in our hand, and we do things that the press won't do. We talk to the politicians, we talk to the oligarchs, and ask them the tough questions.
This may be your first opportunity, but make sure that it is not your last. Start somewhere. Start with two things, people, if you've never looked at 9/11 before. World Trade Center number 7. This is a building that collapsed at 5:20 p.m. Eastern. This is the third building to collapse on September 11th. The funny thing is, this building was never hit by a plane. This September 11th, 3 days from now, you are going to see thousands of people on the streets, and you're going to recognize that we will no longer remain silent. Because this movement has begun. And this is not the end, this is surely the beginning.
No, this is a grave site, and this isn't the place for this.
So you don't think they should be out here today?
Quietly. You can quietly protest, hand out your papers, but not, this is a gravesite. Show some respect.
What about the airplane?
The airplanes hit the
Yes.
Twin Tower. That's
Of course,
why,
yes.
that's why
But the
it
airplane
came
didn't
down.
hit Building 7. It only hit the 2 towers. The airplane jet fuel can only get to a maximum temperature of 1,400 degrees. Steel does not melt until it gets to 2,800. Jet fuel and kerosene cannot bring a building down. And it cannot make it collapse straight down into its own footprint at the speed of gravity.
So you're not talking about the 2 buildings from the Twin. You're
I
talking
am talking about
another
all
one.
of them. I'm talking about all
So
3.
what about the airplane? Where is the airplane?
The airplane
I mean, you
can't
don't
make the
talk
building
about the
fall
airplane.
down. The airplane.
But the airplane hit the Twin Towers, right?
Yes.
So why don't you talk about that?
Airplane hit the Twin Towers, but
that's why it
the
came
fires
down.
went out. The fires were oxygen starved before the collapses ever happened. The airplanes hitting the building has no correlation to the collapses.
I have looked into all of the relevant evidence. I have read the best 9/11 books out there. The one by Webster Griffin Tarpley, by Michael Rupert, David Ray Griffin. The science points to explosions. Certainly you can't fake physics, to my knowledge. I'm not a scientist, but as far as I know. And also to my knowledge, the laws of physics don't make exceptions even if you wave a box cutter at them, from what I understand. Now, as to the war, we went over there supposedly to get Osama bin Laden. Now, the person telling us that we had to go get Osama bin Laden is an ally to the bin Laden family, George Bush. So that was strange in and of itself. Then when you consider the fact that they are no longer interested in getting Osama bin Laden, where is he? Nobody seems to care. He was the reason given for why we had to go to war. Many people have lost their lives across the world, those fighting and those defending their freedoms, even innocent women and children who had nothing to do with anything. And yet the reason given, the motive given for why this had to occur was this one man, Osama bin Laden, and his organization Al-Qaeda. Yet all of a sudden that doesn't matter.
Iran is next. You don't want part of that. Iran is going to make Iraq look like a cakewalk, people. These aren't Arabs, these are Persians, and they're yet to be defeated. They'll chew us up and spit us out. Notice the British have just withdrawn from Basra. The British don't want to be there. The British don't want to be caught between that when Iran swarms into southern Iraq, cuts our guys off in Baghdad, and you watch the siege of Baghdad take place. And the only option then, we'll have to nuke to save our guys, right? That's what they're going to say. They're already preparing to hit Iran with these micro nukes, these bunker busters. And when all that fallout goes up, they're going to say, see, it's proof they had nukes. We're the only country in the world that have used nukes.
My name's Cosmos. I started a project called truthaction.org. We are promoting global activism, a non-stop campaign for 9/11 truth and justice on the 11th day of every month. We started this in February 2007. We've been going for about 7 months now. We started in just a handful of American cities, San Francisco, right here in New York City, Louisville, Kentucky, and a few others. And within 6 months, we have spread around the world to locations such as several locations in Spain, several locations in Australia, Paris, France, Berlin, Germany, London, England, all over Canada, and all over the United States. And we're trying to get as many people as possible in as many locations as possible to join this campaign, to take action on the 11th day of every month until we get justice for the crimes of 9/11.
9/11 was an inside job. 9/11 was an inside job. Get them off. Everybody's an inside job. 9/11 was an inside job. 9/11 was an inside job.
was what that
Yeah,
was.
no, there was like people playing drums and stuff.
No, it was a cop party. I could see them all. It was
Everybody lined
it was
up,
a
yo.
fraternity
Make
of
sure
police.
everybody's under control. Make sure everybody's all right.
A lot of cops do, but yeah, those didn't.
Two first responders, two NYPD officers died last week. It was reported by the New York Daily News from the air quality, from lung cancer. And this is only in the Daily News, not even on major media outlets. And what's sick, I don't know if you guys know, Rudy Giuliani threatened to sue the New York Times if they said the air was not safe to breathe. That's how callous this goes.
And now it turns out Christina Todd Whitman put out a report internally saying it's deadly air within days. They told her, shut up.
Yes.
And then when it came out, they blamed her when they ordered her to shut up. I'm not saying she's a good person, but I'm saying compared to those that gave the order for her to shut up and suppress the report, she's not the guilty party.
Now understand the mentality of this. They did this to open up the stock market. They risked 50,000, they ruined 50,000 lives to make money in the stock market. You think they wouldn't ruin 3,000 lives to start a war in Iraq and Afghanistan and global domination? And they're doing it. And this is something the mainstream media is not talking about. This is something the government is covering up. And this is something that we're doing right now, that we're exposing right now.
And if they don't care about those lives, the 3,000 on 9/11, the 50,000 now that have been damaged, they won't care in the future with World War III with Iran.
Can this side of the room stand up? Thanks. Take a look. If this room was full of ground zero workers, this is how many would be disabled right now. In 5 years, this is how many would be dead. Thanks. So those are our stats, and they're not getting better, they're getting worse, because the longer you have this crap in your system, the asbestos, the concrete, the mercury, the PCBs, the list goes on and on, the worse it gets. The psychological trauma from ground zero is significant for anybody who was down there. I don't go into details about what was down there during my 10 days from when I got there to when I left. I was there day one, unless we're at McSorley's and you're buying. And if you weren't there, you don't really need to know. But the reality is that the physical conditions that we're facing are killing rescue workers. They're physically killing us. Mayor Michael Bloomberg is now spent, and this was in the New York Times for the past 4 months and in the Daily News for the past 2 years, has spent now in total $41 million of the federal money given to New York City out of the $200 million given directly designated for 9/11 first responders to bring us the health care that we need. He spent $41 million using that to defend against disability claims. Does anybody need Michael Bloomberg's address?
We're standing in front of the Stage Door Deli, some great food in Lower Manhattan. Right across the street from the Stage Door Deli is where the Twin Towers sadly used to stand. Right now we've got a very silent, very respectful, peaceful memorial, a vigil really, going on across the street from the PATH station. We're not screaming, we're not ranting, we're not hollering. We're